Hi, and welcome back to Cooking with Spirits. In today's video, we're going to be making some delicious beer candied bacon. For this recipe, you're going to need a baking sheet, and you want to make sure that you line it with some aluminum foil, a wire rack for your baking sheet, and you can use a cooling rack as long as it's oven safe. You're going to need 1 pound of bacon, a half a cup of brown sugar, and then you want to make sure you use a stout beer, and you're going to need 1/4 of a cup of stout beer plus about 2 tablespoons. I'm going to be using some Guinness because that's what we have on hand, and that's our favorite stout beer around here. To make cleanup easy, we are going to line our baking sheet with some aluminum foil. I'm going to go ahead and get my oven preheated, and we want to preheat it to 400 degrees. I want to place the wire rack down in the baking sheet. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow the bacon to get crispier. We're going to lay out 1 pound of bacon. There we go. And you can pre-cut this in half if you want and lay it however it fits on your baking sheet. That's going to kind of depend on the size of your baking sheet. I am using a thick cut bacon, and that does work a lot better than a thin cut bacon. Okay, the oven is preheated. I'm going to go ahead and slide this in on the middle rack. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so the bacon is going to cook several rounds for 10 minutes at a time, and in between we're going to be basting it with our glaze. I have a half a cup of brown sugar. So now we need 1/4 of a cup of the beer plus 2 tablespoons, and it's going to foam up. If you get a little bit of extra beer in there, it's not going to hurt anything. And this beer with the brown sugar is going to make a really nice glaze for that bacon. It's gonna, once the brown sugar dissolves, it's going to make kind of a syrupy consistency. And you want to just keep mixing until all of the brown sugar dissolves. Okay, so the timer went off for the first 10 minutes. My brown sugar and beer has mixed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to coat each slice of bacon with this mixture. And the consistency is pretty much like a thin syrup, like pancake syrup almost. The bacon has just started to cook, and it's already smelling good. Now what we want to do is flip each piece over. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. If you notice that any of it's overlapping, just grab your tongs and scoot it around. What we're going to do is place this back in the oven for another 10 minutes. Round 2. We're going to do the exact same thing. And I did just go ahead and stir up using my little brush here, the bottom of the bowl. So at this point, the bacon has cooked 20 minutes. The first 10 were without the glaze, and the second 10 was with. Again, we just want to flip it, and you can see down at the bottom all the drippings. That's why you want to line your baking sheet. It just makes cleanup so much easier. And you may have already guessed what we're going to do is place this back in the oven for another 10 minutes. And then I'm going to do that one more time after this 10 minutes. All right, so this is really starting to look good. I'm going to let it go just another maybe 5 minutes. You don't want your bacon to burn. And again, the length of time that you have to cook this is really going to depend on the thickness of your bacon. And I'm just going back over this a couple of times because I've got some extra syrup. You can see it's starting to get sticky when I lift it up off the off the rack here. Oh, this is going to be delicious. Our beer candied bacon has finished cooking. What we're going to do now is just to let it cool. You want to leave it on the rack for right about an hour. Something I wanted to mention really quick to you guys, as you can see, my bacon has broken up. As soon as you take it out of the oven for that final time, you want to make sure that you go ahead and use your tongs to lift it up and flip it over. If you don't, as it starts to harden, it's going to stick to the sheet. I stopped just long enough to grab a couple of pictures for the blog post, and when I started flipping it, you can see that it's gone ahead and started cracking. Still going to taste delicious, but if you don't want your bacon to break into pieces, go ahead and lift it up off of that rack and flip it as soon as you take it out of the oven. Our beer candied bacon has cooled for right at an hour. You can see it's got a nice texture. Go ahead and break these apart. And one of the things that I'll share in the blog post over on our website, cookingwithspirits.net, is that before this final coating hardens, you can take crushed nuts and sprinkle on top of these, and it really is delicious. Now, like I mentioned, for cleanup, all you've got to do, remove your rack, get it washed, your aluminum foil, just roll it up, roll up your aluminum foil, and washing your pan will be a lot easier than if you had not placed the aluminum foil down on the bottom. Enjoyed the video. Hope you'll give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and be sure to head over to cookingwithspirits.net to check out all of our other great tasty recipes.